All right, Tucker Silva. I believe you and I are now live on the YouTube with the Weekenders channel.
Groovy.
Just you and me hanging out right now. Just the
Just
two of
two
us.
of us, you and I.
You know, the weird thing is, it seems as though a lot of people were busier this weekend. A weekend that started with snow on May 9th.
Yeah, a lot of busy shit. Yep.
This is the day to make sure you have a lot going on. A day that
Yeah.
we're officially a third of the way through May, and there was snow. Granted, not as big a deal as a lot of people made it out to be. Like, I woke up this morning and I had to kind of squint to see the snow, but it was definitely snowing out there.
Yeah.
No accumulation or anything, but we took the dog for a walk. It was freezing out there.
It's still cold. I know it actually turned out to be like a nice day in terms of the sun actually showing face, but man, it's cold. It's like 30-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. It's just nasty outside, but a little bit better than I thought. It was just gross this morning. I was up bright and early, so.
I believe last weekend was my official first cargo short day of the year. And then I pulled the winter coat back out again this morning.
Now, is your wardrobe contain strictly cargo shorts, or do you mix in straight legging shorts? If you
I'm mixing a little bit more now because I've basically had to buy all new clothes. I'm trying to be a little bit more fashionable.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, I'm not giving up the cargo short. I bought new cargo shorts.
So a guy like you have 5 kids. There's probably a ton of stuff you could stash in your cargo shorts. So I kind of get it. But do you always find yourself stuffing those pockets, or are they just there?
I don't stuff them. Honestly, what I carry in them is a phone and a wallet and car keys, and maybe a pair of glasses, either sunglasses or otherwise, which, isn't an enormous amount of stuff to carry, but if you have the non-cargo short, you got to use the pockets right up there on the hip, and those
it can get a little crowded, a little busy.
What I like about the cargo short are the lower big ass pockets. Like, you can load that stuff and you don't feel it at all. And so it's just a more lightweight feel. And you know what? I don't get why they're not fashionable. Like, I understand that fashion just is or isn't, whatever. Yeah. I don't get the hate for cargo shorts. I love them. They're good.
They're just kind of, no offense, they're just dorky. That's what I mean. I used to wear them in college. That was like 10 years ago or whatever. And the only things I would stash in there were Bud Lights.
Okay.
Like, that's literally it. And then I just got rid of them. But yeah,
I understand that too.
I understand with like giant phones like these now, with an OtterBox case. Like, if you put that in regular shorts, it can get a little crowded down there with the boys.
It can.
And it's sticking out of your pocket. Like, people can see you're clearly wearing, or your phone is stashed in your pocket. So it's a little difficult in that capacity. So that's where cargo shorts would come in handy, I guess. But I don't know. I just can't do them. Sorry.
I'm also one of those guys, like many men my age, in my particular, to your point, place in life. I've got 4, not 5, 4 kids.
I thought you had
married.
5. Oh, okay.
No. 4. I mean, unless there's something
is
that
there
I don't
a difference? It really?
It doesn't. Once you move from man to man to zone defense, it's
you're not quite an offensive line yet.
No, it's people have asked me that, like, how do you do it with 4 kids? And I have and will continue to say that the change from 0 kids to 1 kid is bigger than any other change. And then 1 to 2 is bigger than 2 to 4 was for us, because the last 2 were twins. And so while having twins was a challenge when they were infants, honestly, having already had, 2 kids at that point, it seemed as though it wasn't that difficult. I can't imagine what it must be like to have twins your first time out. To go from 0 kids to 2 kids would just be insane. No, we had my daughter was born first, and then my son, I think 3 years after that.
Yeah.
And then the twins another 3 or 4 years after that. So again, by the time we got to the twins, I think the older kids were 6 and 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
And we weren't really shocked by anything at that point.
Yeah.
So while I would love to wear some badge, like having 4 kids is the most difficult thing ever, having 4 kids is easier than when you have one for the first time.
I mean, I have a 16-month-old right now. I love him to death, obviously, and everything. But like, good God, that's just one kid. That's just one kid. And when I have two, that's my cutoff, and then I'll probably snip just because like I
Yep.
don't want three. Sorry. But I can't right now. The thought of a second kid just makes my head explode. Ask me in a couple more months, but
Yep.
like I want nothing to do with that right now.
Well, no, and it goes to what I'm saying. The difference between 0 and 1 is bigger than any other version that you could have,
Well,
right?
And I'll give you an example. My buddy, he has a 4-year-old, and so they were trying for a second, and they got pregnant, and then they found out it was with twins. So now they've a boy and 2 lovely twin daughters. But it's just like, I just wanted 2. I didn't want this 3 thing. I didn't sign up for that. So he was
Well,
like,
I mean, honestly, the twins were supposed to be 1. I signed up for 3 kids. So,
Right.
Getting the 4th was
Yep.
not a big plan. But hey, listen, the point is 4 kids, married coming up on 20 years. Who am I trying to impress anymore? Like cargo shorts, whatever. I'll put a nice shirt with it. I will wear some nice shoes. I do have the sandals, but I mix in non-sandal wear as well. Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. Like, just like, all the good stuff you're supposed to eat, but you're still going to have the occasional bad
Cheat
thing.
day.
I know all the good stuff I'm supposed to wear, but you know what? I'm going to have the cargo shorts, and I can't let anyone take them away from me.
Yeah, exactly.
But they are newer cargo shorts, so maybe they're
that's nice. Yeah.
somehow nicer. I don't know. I'm not. Really
Are they
sure.
like Gap or something, or like where do you get them from? Kohl's.
So,
Kohl's is full of cargo shorts.
Kohl's, Target.
Yeah, that's cargo shorts central.
But my favorite pair of cargo shorts, because I think I have maybe 3 right now. It's kind of a funny story, a little bit. I ordered them mail order. Like they were so cheap. I'm like, wow, these, one of those like Facebook ad mail order kind of things.
Mail order cargo shorts. Where do I sign up?
So they showed up 2, maybe even 3 years ago when I was a heavier fella. And they didn't come close to fitting, even though I got a
big or small
38 waist. Like they were crazy small. So I'm like, well, these are so cheap. They came from like China, so I'm not going to be able to return them. Yeah. So I literally threw them on the top shelf of my closet. Like, I don't know, at some point I'll find something to do with those. And then I lost 60 pounds. And I'm like, wait, well, let me pull down those shorts that didn't fit.
Is that how much you lost?
Yeah, 60 pounds.
60? Holy God. Wow.
I lost it like a golden retriever.
I didn't realize it was 60. Wow. Yeah, that's literally a golden retriever. Yeah.
I lost this dog, basically. That dog there weighs 60 pounds, and that's what I lost. And so I like to pick up that dog every once in a while.
What's his name? Chester or something? He looks like a Chester.
Come here, Maisie. Come here. This is Maisie. Maisie and I really don't get along very well because Maisie is the most destructive creature ever.
Yeah, the dog looks like it hates you right now.
She has dug holes in the living room floor. And carpet. She has eaten built-in woodwork.
How old is she?
She just turned 2, so we keep hoping that we're going to grow out of these. Go away now. We keep hoping that we're going to grow out of these things.
Get out now.
But when we talk about the shutdown, I'm desperate for a haircut. I think she's desperate for a haircut too, because she has got a full like Wookiee.
You don't have clippers?
Fur at this. See, here's the thing. While I'm not a crazy, I mean, she was a rescue dog. I didn't buy her from a breeder. I doubt she's purebred. There is a specific way you're supposed to cut Airedales, and it's not just Buster. Like there is an Airedale look. I'm not ready to try to tackle that. I mean, if it got to a point, like if it were July right now, yeah, I'd pull out the clippers and just do it myself and say, we'll get you the Airedale look later on. But I feel like dog grooming will be soon open on that list. And you know what? To what we were saying earlier, it's like 30 degrees outside right now. So she's probably pretty happy that she's still got her her Wookiee fur at the moment. And she's going to argue with the birds that she doesn't get along with.
who gets along with birds in the first place?
Yeah, well, she did, and I reminded her yesterday the birds were here before she was. So, speaking of things opening, I know that
Yeah.
you, Mr. Silver, were one of these very angry that the golf courses weren't open people.
Yeah.
They're open now.
Hmm.
Is your world that much better for it?
I tried to make a tea time yesterday and I couldn't. They were sold out. Couldn't find a tea time at all. So I'll probably target went Tuesday or Wednesday coming up where it looks like it's like 60 degrees or something. But yeah, thrilled that golf's finally back. As I was saying on Joe Murray's thing yesterday, I understood why they closed it initially because everybody was in what the hell's going on mode, shut everything down. And I was like leading the brigade on that front. I was like, shut it all down. Just stop, shut everything down. Let's figure it out. Let's take a step back. But then it got towards the end of March, early April. And I'm just like, maybe we could open golf back up. Maybe, it's just like, it's an outdoor activity. I can't think of anything more socially distant than golf without carts or anything like that. And it seemed like it was easy enough to open back up and selfishly for me as a golfer to play golf. But then on the other part of it, you are thinking about the golf course owners and they're losing money. I mean, if you're a hardcore golfer in New England, you're still out there in late February, early March golfing. You just bundle up and you go. So those dollars going down the toilet like any other business right now, it sucks. So if there was an easy way to open golf courses, which I thought there was, then they should be open. That's all.
So and I don't fundamentally disagree with anything that you said. Golf to me is an activity that, given the rules that we're all living by now, you definitely could do golf. My only problems with the open golf movement were twofold. One, it seemed to have, and I'm not accusing you of this, maybe a coworker of ours on a midday program would be a little more in this category. Like, I get the logic behind it. I get the desire to do it, but there was a volume and anger to the cries to open golf that just seemed a little, I don't know, misplaced in a time of, for some, life and death, right? Mm-hmm. So I didn't disagree with the arguments behind it. I guess I just disagreed with the importance behind it and how really worked up people were about it. Like, that was one of the things that rubbed me the wrong way about it.
Yeah, I understand that side of it. It's just like, it's a game at the end of the day. It is. But it gets to the point in the quarantine where you're doing everything right. You're checking all the right boxes. You're following orders. I'm not sneaking onto golf courses. And anybody who did sneak onto golf courses, I don't agree with that. That's stealing money. That's flat out stealing money from those businesses. Because at the end of the day, they're still maintaining the golf courses and everything like that. And you're not paying them. So I didn't sneak out on a golf course or anything like that. But it got to the point where you see people going to the beaches. They were hiking, they were going on trails, outdoor activities, what have you. And to me, golf is one of the most cherished outdoor activities there is going. So it got to a point where I'm just thinking, I'm like, why are the golf courses closed? It feels like this is a very easy solution to open back up and take some of the frustration away from being 2 months into a quarantine to blow off some steam.
By the way, it's sunny outside, but it's actually snowing again where I am.
Oh, a nice sun snow shower.
Yeah. So, I mean, I looked outside because I have a window here, and at first I thought it was like, some plant matter. And I'm like, no, that's snow.
Yeah, it's just like randomly snows with gusts and wind.
It's once again actively snowing outside the door. The other problem I had with it, this was totally predictable. So it opens up again with whatever it was, a 21 point or 18 point set of protocols and restrictions and all of this. And I said, I guarantee you, the moment that they open it up with all these restrictions is going to come the call to open it up without them. Like, whoa, come on. Why can't we use a cart? And
I hope that's not the case.
47 minutes was the amount of time between at 10 a.m. the announcement was made that they were open, and at 10:47 I received my first viewer email at the TV station account complaining about the restrictions.
About what specifically?
Carts.
Well, it's just like, shut the hell up, man.
Yeah.
Like, not you, the guy emailing. It's just like, all right, you got to make some sort of compromise with the pandemic we're in right now. These are the rules with golf. Take it or leave it. That's what it is, and they're very agreeable rules. From the start in Tuck's plan to open golf, which everything was listed, one of the top things was no carts, because it's just like, you're going to have to give somebody the responsibility, whether it be the golfer themselves or somebody who's working at the golf course, to wipe down the carts. And there's a trust factor there to see if they're going to do a thorough job. So the no carts thing doesn't bother me. I could see if like you had an injury or a handicap of some sort. Yeah, like you're probably not going to be able to golf in as you normally would in a cart. But it's a compromise you had to make in this pandemic we're dealing with. So,
and then you get all of these false equivalencies. Oh, I can go into a Stop and Shop and be crowded in there and use a cart there, but I can't go to a golf course. And you heard that about all sorts of things. Like I can go to a Stop and Shop, but I can't go here.
Right.
Well, going to the Stop and Shop is not great. Like, you are in a smaller place. You are parking in a parking lot. You are using a shopping cart that somebody else used. But we gotta eat. Like, these are, I got 6 people and a dog and 2 birds living in this house. I would not have been able to grocery shop for 2 months 2 months ago, right? I mean, we need to go grocery shopping. And so it's something you have to do, and we're doing it differently. Like, it used to be that we would, either my wife or I would probably stop on our way home every single day to pick up stuff for that night. Now we're doing it differently. One of us is going. We're going once a week. We're filling up the cart. We're coming home. Like, we're doing it differently to lessen the number of times that we have to go to and act. I'm wearing gloves and a mask, and I'm carrying around these things in my car and at my desk and at the kitchen table. And they're, when I get back in the car, I pull these things out. I wipe down everything, and my phone and glasses and keys and steering wheel. And, I have to go to the grocery store.
It's essential.
And then when people talk about a Walmart, well, guess what? The Walmart's a grocery store for a lot of people, including us as well, by the way.
Target.
Big one on Route 1. Is the best grocery. It's got the biggest, widest aisles and the most space to move around. There are stores that you have to go to buy things to keep on going. The Home Depot people have complained about. Well, not for me, but for a lot of people, they need those things in there to do the work that they do. And people need to fix things on their house. We have a broken window on the garage that I've not fixed because I don't want to go to the Home Depot to buy a glass. But if that broken window were on the front of the house, you know what? I'd have to go to the Home Depot to buy the glass. It's not equivalent to golf. It's
not equivalent, but it's such an easy solution or easy method to open it back up. It's just like, all right, well, I need some sort of outdoor activity for my mental health. As silly as that sounds, like, mental health is a thing in this.
No, it is. And going outside, and that's why I don't disagree with the golf, but it has set off, I believe, just as we heard before, these things are open. Why can't golf be open? It's now we've moved the thing. Now golf is open. Literally, yesterday it was golf was open. Why can't churches be open?
Well, the next thing that's going to be is basketball courts, right?
Yep.
That's going to be what's next.
I, in fact, sit, as has been made fun of many times, on the Park and Cemetery Commission in the lovely town of Sapsfield. And recreation pretty much falls under us. And the question was raised this week at our Zoom meeting about the tennis courts in town. And it was using golf. Like, golf is now open.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, and it was the point I made in the meeting. Our tennis courts are surrounded by a fence. There's one way in, there's one way out. You have a latch that you have to open and close. Once you're inside, you're in a tighter. And so we basically said, well, if you look at the 21 points or however many points there were that you have to go through to open golf, our tennis courts probably wouldn't fit in on that. But, when the next set of openings come, we'll look at it again that way. And so ultimately, I don't have a problem. Like, we're going to reopen things, and I don't have a problem with golf.
All that stuff's going to open soon.
It's all going to open soon. I just feel like people, they want to do it now. Like, we've got the golf, so now let's open. I mean, gun stores are opening up. Like, I didn't realize this was an essential service.
So the gun thing, the gun range, I heard a rumor that the gun ranges and the NRA were involved fighting second right amendments, and they were ready to take Baker to court.
They did take Baker to court. That's why they're opening.
Okay, that's what I heard.
That was a court decision. That wasn't a Baker decision.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, that's where he saw some pressure there. And I heard that golf business owners were threatening, not the Second Amendment or anything in that, but there was some sort of pressure on Baker in that capacity.
I'm not sure which amendment golf range falls on.
I think it's the third, isn't it the third one?
Just pick one. The Ninth Amendment. Does anyone know what the Ninth Amendment is?
It's the 19th hole amendment. Yeah.
So I don't know. I play golf about once a year.
I play once a week. I try.
I don't think I'm going to make my. I'm going to get.
Wait, you don't seem as pissed off about it as Joe Murray was. He was like livid.
That they opened? Well, no, because again,
at the outrage he was.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We live in a time of outrage. Like, everyone's outraged about something. But it did basically, it did that thing that I can't avoid. Like, the more angry people got that the golf courses weren't open, the more I was like, yeah, keep them closed. Like, it's almost like you dealing with kids. Like, you ask me politely, I'll go ahead and give you this thing, but you come in and demand that I do this for you, then I'm going to be like, no, forget it. Right. And so that's where the outrage behind golf made me. It had the counter effect on me that I basically like, you guys want it, you're going to be this angry about it. Well, screw you. If I were in power. Except, this is maybe why some people are more mature than me, because if I were in power, I'd been like, you know what, screw you. But
it just got to a point where the reasons to open just kept piling up, which led to more frustrations. Pair that with, a quarantine, people need to vent somehow, and that's what that turned into. That's all.
Well, it then is a little bit of karma that on the first Saturday of golf season, it's snowing in May. So
yeah. I mean,
I guarantee they're out there.
It's supposed to be nice, and it's Mother's Day. Yeah. The last day that you're supposed to go out golfing.
Yeah, so there you go. Have fun with that. Either golf in the snow or golf on Mother's Day. I mean, I've not looked at a forecast. I guarantee you it's going to be nicer this week. I feel like that's coming.
Yeah, it's like mid 50s, 60 this week, so I'll get out there at some point.
Oh, well, I'll feel for you. I actually, I'm on a cycle of 2 weeks working from home and 2 weeks working from the office. My back in the office begins on Monday. So
like 5 days a week back in the office?
Yep, Monday through Friday.
How do you feel about that?
So here's what I'll tell you.
And where's that mandate coming from? Work?
Oh, that's my workplace. That's the system that they've worked out, because you need to have
you're switching off with somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. You need to have a certain number of people in the building. So the way they figured it made most sense is to switch out.
So you've been cooped up at home for the most part.
So the last 2 weeks, this will be my second 2 weeks back in work. Which, by the way, is a great way to keep track of time, because now my past month and a half is all segmented by 2 week sections of whether I'm working from home or working at the office.
Right.
Because I've just completed the 2 weeks from here. I'd done 2 weeks in the office, and before that, 2 weeks from here. I don't know that I'll get back home again, because 2 weeks from now, we may be getting to a point where things are starting to open back up. Just personally, I guess it's kind of nice to switch things up so you don't get in too much of a rut. I can tell you that before I had the opportunity to work from home, I was livid like Joe Murray livid that I wasn't being given that opportunity. Like there were too many people in the room. I
Yeah.
had too many people at home. My wife needed help. Like
Hmm.
it was only fair. Personally, it's probably good that you don't get into too much of a rut. If I were given my choice, I would still work from home though, because it helps around here.
Comfort level.
It's still the better choice to make
Yeah.
personally in terms of not being around other people and not going in.
Yeah.
I can tell you that I don't go out for lunch. A, my choices of where I'd be able to do that are limited. But B, I'm in Boston, so the less amount of time I can spend in Boston is probably better at this point. So
Right.
it took a global pandemic for me to finally pack my lunch. That's how far we had to come. I
I
had
mean,
tried it
really,
a couple times in the past, but I was never any good at it.
yeah, it really is amazing how like part of this quarantine and pandemic, I think like is bringing people to the realization of packing a lunch and saving habits, stuff that they can avoid rather than buying lunch every day or getting takeout 4 times a week. And I think people are going to start to shift away towards cooking for themselves, packing their own lunches, everything like that, which is going to help their finances in the long run. I just think it's interesting. It took this to come to that realization, you know?
I would try in the past and be like, because it would be my
Yeah,
one
I'm
chance
guilty
to.
of it too. Yeah,
The TV studio is a windowless basement. Like
you got to get
that's
the hell out of
fine
it.
in January. I'll go ahead and sit there all day long. But when it
Yeah,
gets to be like this, I'm like Tim Robbins in the Shawshank Redemption when he's standing in the rain, like, oh, look at that,
yeah.
sweaty pits on me.
Oh yeah,
Oh, this is a sunshine. It's glorious. It's beautiful out here.
yeah. And like the 2 o'clock in the afternoon coffee run, like people,
Yeah.
they don't really need coffee. They just
No.
want to get the hell out of work for half an hour.
The only time I consider smoking is the opportunity to get the smoke break outside. Like,
Okay, the smokers have the best gig going because they're just like, oh, I'm gonna go on my eighth smoke break of the day in the past 3 hours, but it's okay because I smoke. So
yeah.
it's like, why can't I get a smoke break and I'm healthier than you? Like, what the hell? I don't get it.
I have to go
Like,
outside to eat this carrot.
I went to outside to gnaw on an apple. I was taking an apple break, and it's just like, oh god, the smoker taking a break thing always pissed me off because I saw how many people just abuse the shit out of that. It was just like, oh my god, please,
Gotta go take another break.
yeah, gotta take a break here. Sorry.
But yeah, so I'll be headed back in for a week of that. And then, I think things are going to start to grind back to life. To bring it towards sports, I asked this question when I was on with Riley and Johnson last week.
Hmm.
Which sport do you think is going to be the first to come back? Because this seems to be like a moving target. I was dead sure on my answer last week, and this week I feel different.
So there's a couple different elements in it. You have the players in the league itself, whether it's management or the actual players, and then what's easiest, um, according to the sport. And if you were asked me about the sport, I would say that baseball is the easiest. No fans, it's outdoors. It's supposed to be happening now. Um, it's not a hardcore sport like a football or hockey or anything like that. So I would think that would be the first to come back, but the players are the absolute worst at everything possible in terms of passing of rules or change of rules or anything that might affect what they're used to. They're just a bunch that are cocky and they refuse to change. So I'm not as confident in baseball in that capacity. Um, I would probably say basketball because they were the first to shut it down, and I have the most confidence in Adam Silver. I think he's the easily far and away the best commissioner out there. So I would put my money in that on that wager for basketball to
So
come back.
when you say baseball is the easiest, I actually used the easiest argument last week, but I apply it to basketball because I look at it and say, you can play basketball literally anywhere. I mean, anywhere you have a basketball court. And think about, let's just use whatever the Celtics play, facility is, the practice facility.
Yeah,
someplace
yeah,
like that,
Brighton.
right? That
Right.
a high-end basketball court with, high-end locker facilities, any number of, Division One basketball programs, probably college basketball programs probably have that. Smallest number of players on a team. What are we talking about? A dozen, 14 players if you make the rosters a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Easy to control a building like that. Like you
Sure.
can lock down a college basketball arena. Literally, you can,
Yeah.
cordon it off, clean the living crap out of it, and
You can easily social distance benches.
yeah, and because all of this we assume there are no fans involved, right? So no fans, and if you're bringing it back like the NBA to just do playoffs, which is what I think they should do, like just skip
Just
right
do the
ahead to
playoffs.
some sort of
I agree.
playoff format.
I agree.
You could do it all in one place. You
Yep.
really could. You could
Mhm.
go, pick your college. You go down to Duke, and I'm sure they have a lovely playing facility.
Right.
Get
A
yourself some
neutral
college
site.
dorms that aren't
Yep.
being used right now. You've got housing, you've got an arena, you've got it all in one place that you can control.
I really like
I
this.
feel like that's the way they can bring basketball back.
I really like the Disney World idea. I think that's phenomenal because then families can come along too, and that's easy. It seems like it's easy enough to control, and that way players can be with their families at the end of the day. And if it's just the playoff teams, then it's 16 teams you have to worry about, and that's it. I think that's very easy to manage. But my one hesitation on basketball is that it's probably the grimiest in terms of germs. When you're thinking about it, I mean, those guys pour sweat and they're bumping into each other. The
They're
ball
rubbing all over each
it's
other.
gross. It's gross, really. There's spit, and not like on purpose spit. It's just like, it's a very physical sport. They're tired, spit comes out or whatever.
Yeah.
So when I think of that, I was like, it's kind of grimy. So that's something like they would literally have to scrub the ball like every single timeout, or even every single possession. Like
Yeah.
maybe a basket scored and they'll like do a quick wipe down of the ball.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, they could have,
Or
balls
new
at
balls.
exactly,
Yeah.
balls at either end of the court. Like,
Right.
all right, that one goes in. Here you go, new ball.
Yeah, the biggest thing across any of these sports is, stating the obvious, is the amount of testing that needs to be done. I could see where players arrive at the arena like a security check and they get tested before they enter the facility, and the tests are pretty quick. And so if they just hung out in their cars or whatever, or some other location right before they enter the building, like, okay, you've tested negative, you're good to go in. Um, that's something that I would hope would happen to prevent the spread. And if they're not showing symptoms for like a week or two, there's no need to get tested again. So I think that's one thing you're going to see, but it's just like, how much of that testing are we going to have available? And I know that's one of Adam Silver's concerns is, is the amount of testing that will be needed for the players, is that going to affect what the public needs too for the everyday American?
So
that's one of his biggest concerns.
You mentioned Adam Silver being the best commissioner, and I 100% agree with that.
Guys,
and
amazing.
Knowing that if really baseball, hockey, basketball, if any of them crown a champion this year, it's going to come with a big fat asterisk. Like everyone's going to know that was the pandemic champion.
Nobody's going to forget 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Knowing that is true, I came up with, and I'm sure, by the way, I'm not the only one, so I'm not going to sit here and say this is my idea. I came up with it in my own head, but again, it's not so crazy an idea that I guarantee you other people have probably come up with it and talked about it. But what I would love to see is the NBA just do a NCAA, all the teams, everyone, from the last place team to the first place team, put them in a bracket, one game, you're out. You could knock out a basketball tournament under that one in under 2 weeks. And could you imagine the TV ratings on that?
Oh yeah.
Every single game is win or go home.
That would be amazing, especially since we lost out on March Madness.
Yep.
I mean, that's one of the greatest sporting events of the year. And I don't even follow college basketball. I don't know a single college basketball player really, but I damn well look forward to March Madness. So a tournament like that would be great. I just don't see professional basketball players agreeing to that because of all
That's
the
proven.
blood, sweat, and tears they poured into their season.
Well,
Um,
I mean, the one thing would be it's either that or nothing. I mean, if that's because I think it addresses a lot of the concerns, like time away from family. Well,
yeah,
if you're talking about a week and a half, or for some teams, one day,
yeah,
now you're not worried about time away from family. Testing and all of that, probably at the beginning you would need to do it, but no team and no player is going to hang around for long enough to
yeah,
need to be repetitively tested. Housing, all of that stuff kind of evaporates when you're able to do it all in a week and a half. And the pool of players will literally, go in half with every game. Every game
yeah.
you play, half the people are now done and they get the hell out and they go home.
I mean,
Uh,
as
I acknowledge it'll probably never happen, but I think
right.
that would be the most awesome. And talk about a unifying, we talk a lot about how sports brings people back in times of trouble. You know,
That
the
would be the
number of
ultimate fun.
people
Yeah.
who wouldn't care a lick about NBA basketball, but
Hmm.
would watch
Hmm.
multiple of those games, I think it's absolutely. I mean, I look in this house, it's me and my son and my daughter a little bit. So, like,
Yeah.
half the family cares about it. I guarantee you, a lot of us would sit down. Celtics, every time they played a win or go home, that would
Yep.
be a full family affair. Just like we all watched the Super Bowl, we would all watch that. And then, you know, your ratings would be through the roof. People would
Yeah.
be into it.
You would have to
It'd be
seed
awesome.
it like, the Lakers, to be fair to the top ranked teams though,
Oh yeah, you would seed it with based
the
on
Lakers would be
standings.
playing the Warriors.
Yeah, 100%. You
Yeah.
would seed it based on the standings
Right.
as they sit right now. And what are there, 32 or 30 teams? So it wouldn't work out quite right. Like, fine, give the Lakers a bye, whatever.
Yeah.
You could do it. You could figure out a way to do it.
The
It
the
would be awesome.
my only I love the idea, but my only issue with that in terms of the virus is you're introducing a lot more players and staff in the same area. Whether even if it is for a day, that's a lot more risk
Yeah.
introducing that many more people, as opposed you just had hell, if you even just did 6 teams per conference. I mean, because the 7 and 8 seeds never make it anyways. Like seriously, just like get rid of them.
Yeah.
So if you just have 12 teams that even play like a 3-game series to make it quick, I feel like that would be a better route because it's a lot less people.
Well, 16 naturally goes down to one better than obviously. You could start with a Sweet 16.
Yeah. Or so, yeah, the tournament thing I do like. I really do like, especially since we missed out on March Madness. I just don't know if it'll be every single NBA team
Yeah.
because we all know the Lakers are going to smoke the Warriors.
Well, I mean, who knows? How many of the Warriors are back healthy now?
Yeah, well, good point. That's a good point. I mean, Curry is back, but the Bucks playing the Cavs, like that's come on.
Well, maybe that would be their warm up. Like you don't even get a training camp. Like, nope, we're back to work Tuesday, boys. Let's go.
So you think basketball's back first?
I mean, to me, it's one of the two. I definitely thought it was basketball last week, except I haven't heard a lot from them lately. Like, they were talking a lot 2 weeks ago about plans for coming back, and I looked at that. I said, they've got Adam Silver. They've got plans that they're talking about. And I think they're the easiest to come back, except they've kind of gone silent on that.
I haven't heard anything. So, like the basketball and baseball, the most I've heard from proposals or rumors, if you will, NFL has just been like, yeah, we're going on a schedule, which I totally agree with. Just play it by ear each week or a month because you have plenty of time. But NHL, I've heard nothing. I've heard absolutely nothing besides Manchester, New Hampshire, and North Dakota, and
Yeah,
that's
I love the North Dakota idea. Yeah, no, I think the NHL is done. I don't
do
think
too.
I don't think there's a feasible scenario where they come back.
It's the hardest sport to bounce back and recover from, both in terms of an absence for the wind down till the wind up, and then you have to think of 2021 season as well.
I mean, I think the one thing that's true, and this also helps basketball and hockey a little bit, is how often do you hear people complain about the length of the regular season and the number of games that are unnecessary? So
Yeah.
I think if either of these sports, hockey or basketball, come back, then they're probably not going to start a regular season till like December or January.
Right.
And they'll probably have a shortened 2021 season. And again, I think that's easier to do in basketball than hockey. So that's part of the reason why I think basketball comes back.
So technically, by the rules, and I know it's a giant asterisk, but the Boston Bruins would be the Stanley Cup champions if there was no season.
Are they though, or are they just the President's Cup trophy winner?
I think it's the Stanley Cup is awarded. It's again, they're not going to feel good about it. Nobody's going to feel good about that. But they will go down with an asterisk as the champions.
I just like the banner hanging ceremony for that. Just
I don't even think there's a banner.
Yeah, look at that.
Maybe a giant face mask in the banners. You know. Speaking of championships, this crossed my mind the other day. I think we have seen the last championship parade ever.
Ever?
Yeah.
You do?
I think that's
pandemic-wise?
No, I think that's it. I think it's too much of a risk across the board to have parades anymore.
We have a tremendous capacity to forget.
I mean, would you see a championship parade in 2021?
No.
2022?
Yeah.
Really?
I think we can forget just that quickly.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just overreacting, but even if there were parades that were coming back, I think they would be a lot less crowded than in years past.
Well, I mean, I know people talk about how I'm never going to shake hands again. I'm like, yeah,
no, I'm not.
There will be people. Maybe you'll be one of those people.
I never understood it. Before pre-pandemic, I never understood shaking hands. I did it out of politeness. I say that from the bottom of my heart. I never understood it. I don't get it.
What are you going to do? Bump elbows?
I've always been like, I prefer, there's less of a risk for this.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Really, just think about it. I don't know where your hand's been. How many times have you seen somebody leave the bathroom without washing their hands? From number one or number two. I've seen both instances, and that's fucking gross. That is disgusting. That thought always crossed my mind pre-pandemic. So I would prefer the pound. I hope people do that, but you're probably right. The handshake's probably going to come back.
I mean, because by that theory, Disney World will never reopen again. People won't get on. I mean, think of all the places you go where you're crowded in. People aren't going to go to concerts anymore. People aren't going to go to sporting events anymore. Like, all of those are heavily crowded places, not only just sitting in the seats, but I mean, you've gone to a Patriots game when you're in that mass of people waiting to go through security, when you're in that mass of people on the whatever it's called, the
bridge.
Where you're walking in and where all the ramps and all of that stuff. Airplanes. There are tons of places where you're jammed in, and we've just come to terms with it. And I know that there's been plenty of talk about how all of these things will be different, but there's only so much change you can make. I mean, how are you going to make getting into a stadium different? You're going to put the 6-foot lines on the concrete. That line would be all the way down Route 1 into
the grocery shop. The grocery shopping is going to come back to normal. That's concerts are going to come back to normal. Games are going to come back to normal. It's going to take a couple of years, I think, but the one thing that I do think is going to become the new standard is a mask on an airplane.
Yeah.
Because I know I will. I mean, think about it. You're literally in a plane full of people enclosed with circulating air. It's disgusting to think about, really. So, I mean, that really doesn't bother me to cover out my mouth. I know people in Europe and Asia have been doing it for years, and it's just been frowned upon for some reason in America. But on a plane, I fully plan on wearing a mask, and I don't care if people think I'm weird. I just don't want to get sick now.
I'm already wildly uncomfortable on a plane just anyway, so why not just add to it?
Exactly.
A problem with that. Baseball, to go back to the sports coming back, I just want to touch on that again, is the one that at this point seems to have the most solid plan.
Baseball does.
Or at least they've marked a date. Like they've said July 1. Plan on July 1
I hope so.
as an opening day.
I'll tell you what.
Is neatly half a season, so you could have probably an 81 game season.
Right.
They'll be the least asterisked of the three sports anyway, if they manage to do that.
I said from the beginning, when like back in March, when we were like, oh man, so what's going to happen with sports? Who's going to come back first? And the initial conversations, I said that baseball is in the best position to just pick it up at the All-Star break and just play out the rest of the year.
Yeah.
No fans. And that's the easiest solution to me, really. The cross country thing, I don't really see what a big deal that is, to be honest. Either way, you're going to be on a plane. So what's another 6 hours on a plane as opposed to just a 2-hour flight? I don't really see the difference. You're on a plane at the end of the day. So that's the easiest way, is just pick it up at the All-Star break and play out the season. That's it. 81 games.
And again, you talk about a sport that people think the regular season is too long. I know that there are teams that, make a surge or fall apart after the All-Star break, but to a great deal, the teams that are in it on July 1st are the teams that are in it at the end. Mm-hmm. And sure, there are teams that, get in at the last day or drop out on the last day.
Right.
But that can happen as easily after 81 games as it can after 162.
There's so many games. 81 is so many games. It really is. The fact that there's 162 is just nuts to think about when you're looking at the big scheme of things. But 81's plenty to figure out who the best team is. It's plenty of games. Just do it. That's
it. This is to just talk about baseball in general. Like, it's the least contact sport. It's the least physically exerting inside the lines of the game. But I have to tell you, and I've talked about this before, the one season that I traveled with the Red Sox a little bit, a baseball season is relentless. Like, it is I had spent so much of my career, like, I would love to travel on the team charter and actually be part. And then I did it on one road trip. I'm like, I don't ever need to do that again.
Can you imagine doing that every road trip?
I look at a guy like Joe Castiglione that's been doing this forever.
And it only seems
relentless and miserable.
And it only seems like recently those guys stopped taking or started taking vacations from road trips, doesn't it? Like over the past 5 years, you've noticed that like Dave O'Brien didn't make the West Coast trip, or Castiglione didn't fly down to Texas or something like that.
My first long road trip was a 3-city, 2 weeks, just about. It was Detroit, Anaheim, and Kansas City in that order. Yeah. One off day, and I think 1 4-game series. And the thing of it is, the game begins at 7 o'clock or whatever. But in our case, I wasn't broadcasting, but working behind the scenes, we would get to the park at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Right. And then you have stuff you have to do post game. So you're leaving the hotel at like noon. You're not getting back to the hotel until like midnight or 1 o'clock. So your free time is from, 10 a.m. to noon. Right. And then you do it again over and over again. It's like, I'm in Kansas City. What am I going to do in Kansas? I'm in Detroit. These are not exciting cities to hang out in. Right. And you don't have a long time to do anything anyway. It was just coming home from the end of that road trip. I did it again a number of times, but I was like, well, there's a thing that I'm happy I did once, and I thought I would want to do a lot, but
not so much.
It's kind of what I imagine skydiving to be like. Like, boy, I'd really love to do that. And you do it, and you're like, okay, well, I've done that now, and I never need to do that again. That's what, for me, traveling with the team on a long road trip was. Something I desperately wanted to do, got the opportunity to do, and said I never need to do that again.
At least you know it, though, now.
And I'm happy I did it. I make no mistake. I'm thrilled that I did it. There are places in the world I've traveled to similar. Like, I'm happy I went to that place. I don't need to go to that place again. One time was enough for me on that.
So one other thing I wanted to mention is, with the release of the NFL schedule this week and, playing the win-loss game, going down the schedule or whatever, got me thinking about the loss of home field advantage across any sport,
Yeah.
because there's not going to be fans in the stands, or if there are fans, it's going to be a 25% capacity. So the question that I was wondering is, will these leagues be allowed to pump in some sort of a crowd noise, not just for home field advantage? That's obviously a factor, but the
For
TV viewer,
TV.
the TV viewer at home, because like you're literally going to hear the squeaking of sneakers, cusses, and balls dribbling in an empty arena, and it's not going to be entertaining at all. So I'm just wondering if like they take an actual recording from past games, like playoff games or something, and they just pumped in crowd noise at a certain decibel that's legally agreed upon on each league. And
So I guess there are two
that will
ways
be
you
the
could
home
do
field
it.
advantage. Yeah,
You could do it actually in the stadium, so it has an effect on the players.
sure.
Um, or
Because
you
the
could
players
just do
play
it,
off it.
yeah, or you could just do the TV, like a laugh track.
Yeah, like a
Going
sitcom.
back to the Spanish baseball that I worked for years ago,
Yeah.
there was a lot of road games that we did actually from Fenway Park, and we would have somebody at the other end give us actual real crowd noise from the stadium. But occasionally that system broke, so we had a crowd noise CD that was just random and like chatter, popcorn, popcorn, because to listen to it is just bizarre. So
Yeah.
I'll say this: I think it would be very dicey for particularly the NFL, because it's so important in the NFL in terms of hearing plays and all of that.
NBA too.
I think it would be dicey to allow them to do it for real in the stadium, because then there's a whole thing about taking the crowd out of it. Like if you're a visiting team and you go in and score 2 quick touchdowns, you take the crowd out of it a lot of times.
That's a very good point.
And so, I mean, unless there's some long set of rules, like, well, if you're up by 14 early, then you're only allowed to play it at otherwise, then you're going to have the best home crowd at every single game. You're going to go to Miami, and you're going to go to Cleveland, and you're going to go to Las Vegas, and you're going to have fantastic, perfect crowds the entire time, which I think is unrealistic.
So here's a solution to that point. And Joe Murray mentioned this. Apparently, he saw that there's some app they were working on or is already out there where people watching the game from home can literally hit cheer or boo, and then it'll go out into the stadium. So if somebody got out to a 14-point lead, the viewer at home is not going to hit that cheer button so much, because they don't care, because they're probably going to lose the game.
They're now out in the backyard mowing the lawn.
Yeah, I mean that's another sponsor opportunity for whatever league there is. Like, oh, this is the app. I thought that was interesting. I mean,
that's better than just allowing some dude in the control room to pump up the crowd noise.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like, yeah, we're down 30 points, but the home crowd is wildly into this for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
It's like the same effect of playing Sweet Caroline after the Red Sox bullpen just coughed up 8 runs in 1 inning.
But I mean, and if they don't have it, though, I mean, going back to the Patriots' schedule, going places like Seattle and Kansas
Seattle's
City,
a perfect example.
In the first 4 weeks,
Arrowhead.
Yeah, I'm saying if you go to those cities and they don't have crowds,
massive.
They're still better teams than your Patriots team is, but it's
a
pretty big swing. Well, maybe not, but I mean,
Kansas City, sure, yeah.
Yes, they reigning Super Bowl champions who still have a quarterback versus you who has a
but they're going to have a hell of a lot better chance against Kansas City without a crowd, especially
100%.
You can hear the plays. Yeah,
and anyone who plays the Raiders, like I don't know what the Raiders will be like in Las Vegas, but Oakland, even when they were bad, had a sometimes probably literally rabid fan base that I think brought a lot to those games. That if you don't have, it's going to be a completely different.
I think like a team like Vegas, at first when fans can actually start going back and they're at full capacity, I'm talking about. I think it's going to be a madhouse in there, but then it's gonna, over the next couple of years, it's just gonna turn to a mixed bag, and it's gonna be like people just flying in and taking in a Raiders game, and they're not gonna have any real significant home field advantage. That's my take, but
It's kind of what I think the Golden Knights will eventually end up being, is
right.
the team that is followed by whoever happens to be in town that day.
Exactly. That's
Like, we're
exactly
going to
what
go
I'm thinking
see
of.
Celine Dion this night. We're going to go to a magic show this night. And we'll go see a hockey game this night.
Yeah.
Just because we're there for 3 nights. So we should find something to do.
Speaking of Vegas, let's pour one out for Roy there, who died.
He wasn't the one who got eaten by his own tiger, right?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, he was the one that got eaten by his own tiger?
I'm sorry to laugh, but like the guy got attacked by his own pet tiger, recovered from that, went out of show business, and then he dies from coronavirus.
Well, but did he ever really recover? I literally don't think we ever saw him again.
No, because he was mauled by a tiger.
Yeah, so like, when you say recovered, this is what I'm saying. Yeah, he was alive, technically speaking. I don't know what quality of life he had before before last night.
So yeah, pour one out for Roy there.
I can tell you, I've been now to Vegas, I think twice.
Me too.
Much after Siegfried and Roy were gone, I don't know that they would have been on my list.
You don't think they what?
I don't know that they would have been on my list of things to see, even if they were still active. We went to Cirque du Soleil. We went to the kind of pornish Cirque du Soleil one too.
Now, did you go with the family, or did you go with friends, or just your wife?
No, my wife and I went.
Okay.
Both times that we went.
So I've been on 2
Actually, that's not true. One time I went with my brother. One time I went with my wife. Right. We had another trip planned. My wife and I did that would have happened this month, I think. That was now canceled. No, but no, we did not take the kids to see the naked Cirque du Soleil. Oh,
are they naked? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I said porn-ish.
Oh, porn. I didn't hear that part. Yeah, okay.
There's a lot of nakedness in the like, one Cirque du Soleil. Yeah, no, full on.
Like dongs are swinging around and stuff too? Really? Yeah. I might have to go see that at a comedy.
It's a it's a more intimate.
Yeah, that's one word.
Dare I say theater?
There's like 3 people in there.
I don't remember what it was called, but it wouldn't be hard to find the adult only Cirque du Soleil.
The only time I've been to Vegas was 2 bachelor parties, and obviously it's just drinking. And actually no strip clubs. We didn't go to any strip clubs both times, as you could imagine that a bachelor party would, but we just never made it to there. So like the one thing that I really want to do in Vegas is pig out on like 5-star Michelin restaurant food, because the food out in Vegas is like amazing from what I hear.
Yeah.
But literally when we went out there, we just shoved cereal, pizza, and just crap food and margaritas down our gullets. So really didn't get the food aspect of Vegas. So that's my goal when I go back there next.
Vegas is like one of those destinations that you go in with a budget, and after like a day, you're like, you know what?
There's no budget.
Yeah, we'll pay it. We'll pay this off eventually.
The one thing that you have to do is go in with a budget at a casino, which I've been very good at. Be like, okay, $200. That's it. That's all I'm carrying in my pocket. I left my credit card in my room.
The ATM is not with me.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So if you can have that mentality going into casino, then you're gonna have a good time. I love Vegas, really.
All right, Tucker Silva, that wraps it up for us, and it wraps it up
fast.
Look at that. The Weekenders for Saturday. Tomorrow at 1:00. It's me again with Ted Johnson and Mike Riley. I've actually brought Mike Riley back for a second week. It was a 6. I felt as though it went pretty well last week with Ted Johnson and I, enough that I'm like, you know what, there were things we didn't get to. Let's do it again next week. And then tomorrow at 2, I believe, is Murray, McCarthy, and O'Brien.
Okay.
So that, and then we'll be back again next weekend to cobble together another schedule and do this again.
Awesome. Let's do it.
All right. I'll see you.
All right. Have a good one. See you guys.